Our top stories tonight. Turkey's government says it's in full control after at least 161 people are killed and close to 1,500 injured in a failed coup last night. Political parties on the campaign trail wooing voters across the country as election day looms. This is eNews Direct Weekend Edition. Good evening.
You can comment on any of our stories by following us on Facebook and Twitter at eNews Direct.
You can check our content on our website enca.com/direct. Turkey's government says it is in full control of the country after last night's failed coup. The coup attempt left at least 161 people dead and almost 1,500 injured. Millions of citizens heeded a call to take to the streets to oppose the coup by a faction of the military. Close to 3,000 soldiers have been arrested.
Gunfire and explosions rocked Turkey's major cities on Friday night. Renegade troops tried to topple President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's government. Fighter jets and helicopter gunships hovered in the air while soldiers targeted the country's key points and broadcast operations. Erdogan addressed the nation via a video call.
They will pay a very heavy price for charging at people using the tanks. Jets and artillery obtained by the opportunities provided by the people of this country. I would like to invite our people to take to the streets.
And that call was heeded. A US-based Muslim cleric, Fethullah Gulen, has been blamed for the attack, but a group close to him has denied the charge. One Middle East expert says he's not surprised by the events in the country.
There has been some dissatisfaction within the Turkish population and Turkish military, over the past few years, especially because Erdogan has moved to try and civilianize control of the military, but also that there's been a movement, the Gulen movement within the military that is antagonistic in some instances to the way his policies.
A former South African ambassador to Turkey and international relations expert agrees.
The military have always been the guardians of the secularism that was created by the originator of the Turkish Republic, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, in 1923. I think now, or that faction of them, are now concerned that this the tendency in Turkey is to become more religiously based, more Islamic based.
The US has called for support for the Turkish government.
Well, the South African government has condemned the botched military coup in Turkey. The Department of International Relations and Cooperation says any attempt to seize power through unconstitutional means is a serious violation. It also says it's doing everything it can to help South Africans currently in Turkey.
We are in contact with the embassy, and we also encourage anyone who needs assistance with regard to the developments in Turkey to call the office in Pretoria with coordinating the response to this. The number is 012-351-1000. That number again is 012-351-1000. And we are coordinating the response, collecting all the necessary details through that number. And we are in touch with our colleagues in Turkey, giving them the information that we receive.
The African National Congress's mayoral candidate for Tshwane, Thoko Didiza, spent the day campaigning in parts of Tshwane. Didiza embarked on a door-to-door campaign in Soshanguve near Pretoria. 5 people were killed and around 200 arrested in Tshwane following violent protests shortly after the ANC confirmed Didiza as the preferred mayoral candidate.
The former cabinet minister was warmly welcomed in Soshanguve. Speaking in Sotho, Thoko Didiza pledged to continue to improve the lives of residents in Tshwane. Last month, the area was hit by days of violent protests and looting, widely attributed to Didiza's selection as the ANC's preferred mayoral candidate. While on a walkabout in Soshanguve, Didiza said youth unemployment and service delivery is of great concern.
They have indicated to us that one of the things that they would appreciate that government should do in this next phase sorting out the road infrastructure so that, it's not dirt road. The other issues they've raised, which they understand it's a temporal measure, is the water situation, which gets cut at particular hours because of the reservoir that is being built.
While she is not well known in the area, many came to pledge their support for her.
I haven't seen anything that she has done from now. As long as she can deliver, and everything can be transparent.
Of course, I feel disappointed because I can see a lot of development that she was doing before. So when people are like acting against her, I feel very hurt.
Didiza, together with Gauteng Premier David Makura, plan to continue campaigning in areas hard hit by violence and looters in the build-up to the August 3rd elections. John Bailey, Soshanguve.
Nelson Mandela Bay Metro's Rastafarian community has high hopes for Mayor Danny Jordan. Today he canvassed support from local Rastas ahead of the local government election. In a joint gathering between Rastas and ANC supporters, they wanted to know from Jordan just how their religious rights will be protected, especially their rights to use dacha and have a fixed place to worship. Though not responding to questions on marijuana use, Jordan was adamant that Rastas should not be seen as social outsiders.
We must work together. That is what Madiba wanted. There's no outsiders and insiders. And the Rastafari community must know you're part of this metro. You're an essential part of this metro. You contribute to the metro. You must be treated as equal residents and citizens of this metro and this country.
The IFP has rubbished claims that it was behind its arch-rival's disqualification from the municipal polls. Mangosuthu Buthelezi has been accused of paying a National Freedom Party official 6 million rand to miss the IEC's registration deadline. The IFP leader says the allegation is baseless.
Clean up your own mess. That's the message from Mangosuthu Buthelezi to the NFP. The IFP says NFP officials have themselves to blame for missing the IEC's registration deadline. He's cautioned his supporters, urging them not to be provoked by cheap political tactics.
The strategy of the NFP is that we should react, and retaliate, and then when we do so, then the IEC will say there can't be a free and fair election then. So they want us to have the same fate as they are.
Buthelezi campaigned in KwaMashu, an area once governed by his party. He visited the notorious men's hostel, which has been rocked by violence.
I'm surprised that, everywhere I have not experienced any incident that I can regard as negative, that people have received me, and that, of course, the story is the same everywhere.
Buthelezi says he's confident ahead of the local government elections.
More than 1,000 grannies have marched through the streets of Durban demanding the protection of their rights. It's part of the first Grandmothers Gathering being held just days before the International AIDS Conference. UNICEF estimates that 1.85 million South African children are orphaned because their parents have died of AIDS-related illnesses.
Their children have died, and they've been left to fend for themselves and their grandchildren. It's all become too much for these grannies, who say they're struggling to cope. Many of them say their pension grants of 1,500 rand a month is not enough. Due to their circumstances, they want it to be increased to 3,000 rand.
We suffer without protection. And when we look to Parliament, there is no one who stands for our interests. We are caring for so many children, but who's caring for us?
The march, which was organized by various HIV/AIDS groups, included women from other parts of the world who have also lost loved ones as a result of HIV.
we know that grandmothers often aren't listened to. They're in the background, working hard, looking after their families, working hard in the community. So we wanted to bring them all together and to say, grandmothers, your voice can be heard. You have got rights.
But government says these grandmothers' concerns will be heard.
They are saying, recognize us as community health workers, and they are right. And it's within our system. When we say the NHI is going to be, primary healthcare is going to be the heartbeat, we mean it's not going to, healthcare systems are not going to be practiced inside hospitals and clinics, but in communities where those gogos are actually providing health. So I agree with them wholeheartedly.
Judith Subin, Durban.
The National Union of Mine Workers has declared a wage dispute with Eskom. The parties reached a deadlock in negotiations yesterday. The union wants a wage increase of 12% for the highest paid and 13% for the lowest paid employees. Eskom is offering 7%, but the union says the proposed figure is unacceptable. NUM has accused the power utility of being arrogant during wage talks.
The issue about arrogance, I'm not sure where it's stemming from. From our side, for example, when we started the discussions, we were offering the unions 5%. And then because we were negotiating in good faith, we upped our offer to 5.5%. At some point, we also increased it to 5.7%. And then lately, we were sitting at 7% for the lowest paid workers, 9% for the lowest paid workers, and then 7% for the, the middle earning workers. So we have at least 3 times in terms of our offer during the negotiations. The unions have stuck at their original price, which is about 15%. So from our side, I'm not sure where this issue about arrogance is coming from, but we have negotiated in good faith.
Well, back to international news now, and 5 arrests have been made in the wake of Thursday's attack in Nice, when a man killed 84 people by driving a lorry into a crowd celebrating Bastille Day. Some 200 people were injured. Some are in a critical condition. The attacker was shot dead by police. French President François Hollande said the attack was of an undeniable terrorist nature. Islamic State has since claimed that one of its followers was responsible. And in the wake of the Nice attack, the Brazilian government has met to reassess security measures ahead of next month's Olympic Games in Rio de Janeiro. It says the measures may make attending the Games much less comfortable for visitors, but would result in greater security. The city of Rio says security is to be beefed up for Olympic delegations from countries which have been the targets of terror. Well, after the break. Getting Down and Dirty is the name of the game at South Korea's famous Mud Festival. South Korea is known for a whole range of festivals, but the one that seems to attract the most people year after year is the Boryong Mud Festival.
Hundreds of thousands of people flock to this beach on Korea's west coast every year, with foreign tourists flying in from all around the world. The mud offers apparently rich in minerals and nutrients. But having fun is obviously higher on the agenda than skincare.
I feel like a child again. I feel like when I was a little kid, I used to run around at home and play in the mud. And my mom would always get mad at me, but now I can do whatever I want.
Splashing in the mud pool takes a little effort. The mud prisons, however, spare participants from getting down and dirty themselves. The wardens do it for them. After playtime and taking selfies, it's time for the big cleanup. But till next time, here's mud in your eye.
Well, after the break, your weather update with Candice.
A ridging high brings in moisture and cooler weather over the eastern part of South Africa on Sunday. That results in some morning fog along the northeastern escarpment and cloudy and wet weather over KwaZulu-Natal. We're also expecting some light rain along parts of the Eastern Cape coastline with showers over the western parts, and then we're still expecting some cloud over the western and southern part of South Africa, but with fine and dry conditions over the northwestern parts. Cooler weather is expected for KwaZulu-Natal on Sunday with highs in the mid-teens over the interior, cloudy and wet mainly over the northeastern parts with a high of around 20 degrees along the coast. Dry weather is expected over the northern and eastern part of the Eastern Cape with showers over the western parts and some drizzle for Bishu and East London at 18 and 20. Partly cloudy and dry throughout the Western Cape with a maximum of around 20 degrees. Slightly cooler for Muscle Bay, Bredasdorp and Plettenberg Bay, all at 18. Sunny as we head over the Northern Cape with a high in the mid-20s for Alexander Bay, Uppington and Prieska. Still quite cold over the southern part of the province. Mostly sunny for the Free State with a cold day over the eastern parts. Maximum temperatures peak in the mid-teens. Sunny at 23 for Vryburg with some cloud and cooler weather expected over the eastern part of the northwest. Still warm for Lephalale and Messina, both in the mid-20s, despite a cooler day throughout the province. Zenine at 20 with a possibility of drizzle. Light rain is forecast over the southeastern part of Mpumalanga with a cooler day on Sunday. Cold as we head towards Mpumalanga Highveld, and you'll also see cooler weather for Gauteng, partly cloudy and dry, 19 degrees for Pretoria with the rest of those highs at around 17. It'll be a dry day across South Africa on Monday with mostly sunny and mild conditions, but with a warm day for the Eastern Cape. That warm weather spreads through to KwaZulu-Natal on Tuesday, and we're expecting some rain for Cape Town. That's all from the Weather Centre for now. Have a great night.
Our top stories tonight. Turkey's government says it's in full control of the country after last night's failed coup. Political parties on the campaign trail wooing voters across the country as election day looms. That's a wrap from the eNews Direct team.
Up next is our movie Mama Jack.
To share your views, you can send an email to enewsdirect@etv.co.za.
Or you can chat to us on Twitter and Facebook at eNews Direct.
We'll be back tomorrow at 7. Take care and good night.